So, 6 months into Trump's presidency, and the economy is supposed to be collapsing. I mean, the left-wing liberal media like CNN were just talking about how bad Trump's tariffs were going to be. And now it feels so great to have a non-politician run the country, a businessman doing business deal like they're supposed to. Let's take a look at this report. CNN talking about him. And let me get your expectations on what do you think about this whole situation. By the way, my name is Noel. Welcome to Rebel on Life. Here bringing you the latest news. Let's check it out. Be sure to give this video a like before you go anywhere.
Palpable panic on Wall Street, red numbers and worries about something else that starts with an R, recession.
What we're doing is very big. We're bringing wealth back to America. That's a big thing. And there are always periods of, it takes a little time. It takes a little time.
He's talking about that period of transition is what he's talking about is his firm belief that tariffs are going to be the main way that the United States brings in revenue. Never mind what they do to the prices that people actually pay when they purchase goods in a global economy. I mean, Scott, virtually no one who understands economics believes that tariffs are a good idea.
Several months.
Always talking about the smart people, the elite who knows how the economy works, how they know better. Now check it out.
Later.
Well, I would just like to go, but I'd like to build a DeLorean and go back to April when everybody here was predicting likely to cause a recession. Investment stops and a recession happens. They're not talking about a U.S. recession. They're talking about a global recession.
What was happening in April,
lead to
Scott?
Recession. Eventually, there being a reception.
Very cleverly. If he's chosen to,
I just want to point out,
just a second,
you called the recession. You took your shoe off.
I am glad CNN hired this guy to call them out to their face. Like, what happened? None of your negative outlooks are coming through.
Joe, would you like to see that again?
You took your shoe off. You brought cookies out here.
15%.
You took your shoe off and you said there was going to be a recession.
Listen, Scott,
GDP is 3%.
Too early to give a final verdict.
All right, Scott,
It's too early. Just a second, Abby. He's basically calling me out here. It's too early to give a final verdict on the tariffs. You may wish to, but at the moment, it can't be said what the long-term effect is going to be.
I am just a journalist, and all I can do is read the economic data.
It's a bit of a stretch.
3% GDP, trade deals, record high in the stock market.
Come on, these trade deals are garbage.
It's actually much simpler.
Garbage?
Yes.
How can that man call them garbage? It's working, all right? The government is making money off of this. 3% GDP, man. These are real numbers.
Boy. So once again, we got to talk about the economy as liberals are eating crow over the fact that their predictions that tariffs would cause a recession and hyperinflation are turning out to be incorrect. Okay, very incorrect. Okay, but liberals are not going to let it go.
President, your tariffs policy goes into effect tomorrow.
Yeah.
As you know, a federal appellate court today heard oral arguments about whether or not you had the authority to unilaterally impose those tariffs. I'm not going to get you to weigh in on the legal arguments, but you're weighing your decision to do that, your authority to do that based on a 1977 law. It's never been invoked before. Why didn't you invoke this law?
Well, we've been winning all along.
I just want to ask you, why didn't you invoke this law in your first term? You could have taken in billions upon billions of dollars in your first term, but you waited until your second term.
Shout out to Trump, man. The man knows how to swing back. God bless Trump.
Because in my first term, I was fighting lunatics like you who were trying to do things incorrectly and inappropriately to a president that was duly elected. And we did do certain tariffs in the first term. If you look at China, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars from China. But when COVID came, the last thing I was going to do is tell France and Italy and Spain and a couple of other countries that we're going to hit you with tariffs. We had to fight the COVID situation when that came. But if you look at my first term, we took in hundreds of billions of dollars worth of tariffs, but you people didn't cover it very well. Yeah.
This is so simple. Let me lay it out. You go to Europe, you take an American product, you sell it in Italy, they whack a 13 to 50% VAT tax, consumer tax. And you go to the airport, you get your money back, of which 1% people do. Same in Canada, same in Mexico, England, Switzerland, all the same. All that Trump has done, because we never had consumer taxes in the US, you can't get that through Congress, he calls it a tariff. Reciprocal, and kind of the highlight deal right now is the EU, 26 cats being herded, and Germany and France are a little, for lack of better words, pissed off. But what he did is he whacked them with a reciprocal 15% VAT tax in the US. You ship something over here from Europe, you pay the same thing they whack an American product with. It's not that complicated.
It's common sense, reciprocal. Look it up. They do something to us, we do it back to them. What's wrong with that? That sounds fair.
And the market, because listen, I don't give a rodent's rear end about politicians. I care about policy. I have to invest. The market has absorbed this idea, and GM came out last week and said, okay, I get it. Our margins are down on car part tariffs, but we think we'll eat a third. We'll push a third out on price increases, and we'll use AI to solve the other third. No one's even talking about the productivity of AI.
Price increases. People are going to pay more for their cars.
No.
45% decrease in profits.
Okay, so tell me why the American economy right now is at its highest value in history. This is not an ad for Trump. I'm an investor. Something's working here. It's a policy decision. I'm a policy guy. The Europeans have been sucking 15% cash for 40 years out of America. And you're unhappy that we're doing the same thing to them? I don't think so. Get over it. Breathe the oxygen and be happy with your portfolio.
No, Mr. Wonderful, liberals can't be happy because Trump is in office, right? It doesn't matter how good their portfolios are doing right now. Despite the doomsday predictions being wrong, the recession predictions being wrong, the hyperinflation predictions being wrong, despite all that, they can't be happy, right? They're more upset than.
It's Trump derangement syndrome. Anything that man does, they cannot approve. They can't clap it up. They can't be happy for it. And it's like them being unhappy at Trump is like them rooting against the United States. Somebody had to call it out. And let's see with the next presidential election, man, who's going to call it out? Who's going to stand firm on the side of America? The left-wing media got to come around. All right, let's listen to the Black conservative perspective. He always has good perspective, and let's listen up.
They're wrong than the fact that, hey, doomsday didn't happen, okay? And that's what we have here, okay? CNN, the liberal media, trying to grasp for anything to say that they're right. Well, like, for example, you just saw the CNN anchor said, well, you're going to see price increases, right? Price increases. Again, she says that without providing any real context in regards to the quote-unquote price increases that you're likely to see, okay? That comes specifically from tariffs, which is different from overall inflation, right? But the Fed studied this in May. They studied the effect on Trump's tariffs that he put on China early on. So we're talking about 10 to 25%. And they said that so far, the effect of these tariffs has been a 0.33 percentage points increase in core goods PCE prices. So that means core goods PCE, so only a certain segment of prices, not all prices across the board, just a certain segment, less than 0.5%. Less than 0.5%. We're talking about 10 to 25% tariffs on Chinese goods, resulted in less than 0.5% increase in a small category of goods. Now, overall inflation, right? Overall core PCE prices, the tariffs contributed 0.08 percentage points.
A lot of people don't seem to understand these numbers. Somebody got to break it down for them to let them know there's nothing to fear. All right. These numbers are actually in favor of the United States.
Let me repeat that. 0.08 percentage points, a rounding error. This is consistent with the same findings of the Federal Reserve and many other studies that found at most Trump's 2017 to 2018 tariffs on China resulted in a 0.1 to 0.2% increase in core PCE inflation. Again, basically a rounding error at that point, right? A rounding error, right? And when you talk about CPI, give or take 0.3 percentage points. Again, we're talking about rounding errors here, right? Rounding errors, okay? As a result of these tariffs. That's what we're talking about. So again, we really don't know. It seems as if it could very well be neutral, right? It could be like I've outlined to you guys, which is that likely the effects are going to be in some markets, you're going to see prices go up. In some markets, you're going to see prices go down. But what really gets me about all of the criticism of what President Trump is doing is that you can disagree with tariffs as an economic policy, right? Me personally, I'm more of a fair trade type of guy, but people always complain about jobs being shipped overseas, right? About how we're selling out the average American and allowing our manufacturing to be shipped overseas. The president is doing something about that. You may not agree with it, but he's actually taking solid steps to do something about it. And you're going to have these same people that are complaining about what the president's doing. They'll come out here and they'll virtue signal about how middle America lost jobs and we have hollowed out our manufacturing base. They will virtue signal about it. But when it comes to actually trying to put in some protectionist policies to do something about it, they're not willing to do that. So,
and I'm glad that Trump doesn't try to make anybody happy. All the politicians, the people who are wrong, he never tries to make them happy. He knows what he's doing is right, and he got the courage to do it. You got to give the man props. All right, all the negative talk on TV and all the negative news station, he doesn't care none of that. He knows that they don't know what they're talking about. He knows they're wrong, and he got the courage to follow through with what he knows in business works.
All I'm saying is this: you can disagree with protectionism, right? There are a lot of valid criticisms of protectionism. But don't complain about protectionism and then turn around and virtue signal about how the middle class has been hollowed out, how manufacturing jobs are going overseas, and we need to do something about it when you're not actually willing to do anything about it at all. Okay, I'm just saying. The liberal media, for the most part, my point is that they've been very wrong. The tariffs likely are not going to cause hyperinflation. Regardless of where the inflation rate goes, whether it goes up, whether it goes down, or whether it stays between 2.5 and 3 percentage points, which is where it is right now, regardless of where it goes, the contribution to overall inflation from tariffs is a rounding error in regards to what we can actually measure thus far. Okay. So with that being said, we got to react to this clip of CNN being upset when confronted about the fact that they were wrong about the predictions that they made when it comes to President Trump's tariff policy.
Me appears to be holding up, at least for now. And here is the good news. The nation's GDP, which is a key economic indicator, grew sharply in the second quarter. Another good sign, people are buying stuff. Consumer spending, which powers 70% of the economy, also up slightly, combined with steady inflation, a stronger stock market, and tariff revenue, which according to the White House is in the billions. And things appear great. But that's even despite those tariffs. But just today, in true Oprah fashion, Trump basically said, you get a tariff and you get a tariff. He's slapping hefty tariffs on everything from copper to Brazil. And then he threatened India because he's mad about its relationship with Russia over oil. Now, those new tariff rates, Trump says, will take effect on August 1st. That's the deadline that he keeps delaying. Now, this time, he says that date is not going to move. Joining us in our fifth seat at the table is CNN business editor at large and CNN anchor Richard Quest.
And I bet you he says something like, those numbers are not going to move unless you guys cave. Those countries were given directions, so they got to cave and bend the knees. Otherwise, the tariff is going to go into effect. Common sense.
Richard, the Wall Street Journal described this as a weird GDP report because there's a lot of stuff inside the numbers. The headline number is good, but what do you see on the inside?
Oh, the GDP number was weird because the previous number was greatly affected by imports. All those importers trying to get stuff into the United States before the tariff barriers came down. And so the previous number was off. This number, it's good, don't get me wrong, it is a good number, but it can't be necessarily taken to the bank just yet. We do not know the full effects of the tariffs yet. To put this in perspective.
Haters will hate. Record this message, because in the future, it's going to be brought back to show him that he was wrong, way wrong. Can't wait.
Pre-Donald Trump, the average US tariff was 3%. Today, the average US tariff is 17%, which is the highest level since Smoot-Hawley in the 1920s and 30s. Now, we cannot know at this point exactly how that's going to play out, which is why the Fed held interest rates as they to descend.
I think that's why this guy is broke and doesn't know anything when it comes to finances or money. What is he doing on this show? How did he get this far in life?
Yes, two dissenters, I'll give you that. But they held at them for the time being, simply because, as Jerome Powell says, we just don't know.
Yeah, and this latest PCE report, which is why I talked about it before this video, definitely, again, is not going to help the case for lowering interest rates. But again, when you look back at it historically, again, this idea that we have to be below 2% is kind of weird, right? Because it almost seems arbitrary when you look back at it. You say, okay, well, the average is 3% historically. Why is it that we have to be below 2%? I guess that's because from the 2010s to the pandemic, I mean, it was moderating around 2%, right? So I understand wanting to get back there. And I think that we ideally should get back there. But at the same time, I'm starting to question whether or not it's even possible to get back there, especially considering how the government is spending significantly more money than we were pre-pandemic, which to me probably is the primary driver of the inflation that we're seeing, more so than the tariffs. Actually, we know that for certain because, like I just outlined to you guys, the tariffs in and of themselves, at least according to the Fed, in terms of what we know so far, have contributed to a 0.08% increase, right? So not even 0.1% of what you're seeing comes from the tariffs, right? Again, this is a rounding error, right? A rounding error at this point, right? In regards to the effect that tariffs have had on inflation, at least in regards to these reports. So let's continue.
Well, I would just like to go, but I'd like to build a DeLorean and go back to April when everybody here was predicting likely to cause a recession. Investment stops and a recession happens. They're not talking about a U.S. recession. They're talking about a global recession. Lead to recession. Eventually, there being a reception.
Very cleverly. If he's chosen to,
I just want to point out,
just a second,
you called the recession. You took your shoe off.
And Joe, would you like to see that again?
You took your shoe off. You brought cookies out here.
15% shoe.
You took your shoe off and you said there was going to be a recession.
Listen, Scott,
GDP is 3%.
Too early to give a final verdict.
All right, Scott,
it's too early. Just a second, Abby. He's basically calling me out here. It's too early to give a final verdict on the tariffs. You may wish to, but at the moment, it can't be said what the long-term effect is going to be.
I am just a journalist, and all I can do is read the economic data.
It's a bit of a stretch.
3% GDP, trade deals, record high in the stock market.
These trade deals are garbage.
It's actually much.
That guy doesn't know how to read economic data. Look at him talking nonsense, just putting fear on the viewers.
Garbage, yes.
Hold on a second. It's much simpler than this. Just one second, because I think it's super important to understand. Scott, what was happening in April of this year, 2025? What was happening then? What did the president announce on that week, the first week of April? What did he announce?
The president was implementing
his Scott?
Tariff agenda.
And what were those tariff levels?
And well, they were different for different countries.
Okay, so
but every single person predicted calamity.
Scott, you can't skip steps here.
And
what were those tariff levels?
They were different. They had a chart.
Not just different. They were 2 to 3 times higher than the current tariff levels. Did those tariffs go into place, Scott?
It's different for every country.
Scott,
different for every country.
It's a simple question. Did those tariffs go into place?
He has delayed some of the tariffs.
Yes or no?
He has delayed some of the tariffs, and he's made deals, and he's implemented others.
Did any of the tariff levels that Trump announced on that week, did they ever go into place?
Some tariffs have been implemented, some have been delayed, and some deals have been made.
The answer is,
so what point is she trying to make?
they did not. They did
Some
not.
tariffs have been
And all of those,
Some tariffs have been implemented.
all of those quotes.
That's why we have all this money coming in.
We have them here.
Even you said it.
You're playing with numbers here.
We have them here.
No, back in April. Back in April.
You guys are so mad. Why aren't you rooting for failure?
Because,
why does this table root for failure?
Please, because you are saying that
You're rooting for failure.
You are taking a number of 40, 50, 60% back in April, and you're comparing it to a number of 10, 15% now.
Fine, but it's a strategy to negotiate and create leverage,
Scott,
and give us the situation we're in.
He's giving those guys an education. That's how you negotiate. You start with a high number, and now at 15, still high, but because it started at 60, makes the other person think that they got a deal. Come on now. Basic economics.
Completely, okay, sure, Michael, I will let you talk, but I just have to say, completely disingenuous to suggest.
I'm sorry,
that, hold on,
you were the
Scott,
one calling
please,
for a recession
just
in
give me-
April,
just
not me.
Give me 1 second.
You called for it.
Give me 1 second. Please let me finish. It is completely disingenuous to suggest that what economists said would happen if Trump imposed 50 and 60%. Oh, let's jump all the way up to 135% level tariffs on this economy would have been a recession. Those levels never happened, which is why there has been no recession.
You sound
so
disappointed.
it's not that complicated. Sure, Michael,
the level is
go ahead.
happening.
Yeah. So
She sounds disappointed. In her face.
what's actually disingenuous is Abby Phillip pretending as if her prediction that she made, right? Because we have video clips of her making this prediction, right? Running with this narrative that Trump's tariffs or that his economic policy regarding tariffs would cause a recession is not incorrect. It is still incorrect. Like you were wrong. Okay. Just because you were too dumb to realize that the initial rollout on Liberation Day was a starting point, right? This was the maximalist position. We went over this, right? I acknowledge on that day, I was like, yeah, this is the maximalist position. Obviously, that's not where the president wanted to end the negotiation, right? That was the beginning of the negotiation, and that he was going to get some tariff level below that, right? That was always the goal. So again, it's your fault that you came out here and predicted that Trump's economic policies would cause a recession without knowing that he's actually negotiating, right? So again, anything to basically refuse to give the president credit where credit is due. Because if he would have started out at 15 or 10%, then they also would have said those would have called recessions, right? That's what they would have said. They would have said, oh, this is going to cause a recession.
I don't know, man. Trump is giving everybody a master class, how to negotiate, the art of negotiating, right? Start high, and then when you go to the middle, it's still high, but it just don't see it that way. And it actually works. It works every single time. We are living in some crazy time, man. It's working.
He definitely would have said that. And they would have been boohoo-wine and crying about that. But because he started so high, now all of a sudden 10 to 15% doesn't sound so bad, right? It doesn't seem as bad, right, as it would have seemed if he would have started with 10 to 15%. That is what Abby Phillip is refusing to acknowledge. The people who call for doomsday were calling for doomsday because they claim that Trump's tariff policies are going to lead us to a recession. That did not happen. The tariffs have been implemented. Okay, we're bringing in billions of dollars in revenue from these tariffs, and we're not seeing hyperinflation. We're not seeing empty shelves. We're not seeing the economic collapse. The stock market is an all-time high. We're not seeing any of the things these people predicted. But instead of admitting that, hey, we were wrong, we should not have just assumed that these were the tariffs that were going to be put in place. We should have been smarter and assumed that the president was negotiating instead of just acknowledging that, no. Well, we were wrong because Trump folded. That's why we were wrong, right? We were wrong because Trump folded, even though Trump never folded. Because again, he never intended to have tariff rates that high on all those countries. That should have been common sense from the beginning.
happened, but it didn't stop individuals who were antagonistic to the president and his agenda, whether they agree with him or not, from saying that this is still going to lead to significant inflationary rates. We have not seen that.
Yeah,
and so you would think individuals who were on the negative of this would have at a minimum acknowledged the fact that the president did not implement those high tariff rates, which you just stated.
It is super simple. Did Donald Trump implement the tariff levels that he
No, I acknowledge that the tariff levels my point is,
when you evaluate whether or not inflation has resulted from those tariff levels, how are you evaluating it? Because tell you, they haven't gone into place. So obviously, inflation hasn't increased to the levels that people projected if they had gone into place.
We're arguing two different things. The point that I'm making is individuals who said at the time that this would lead to a recession continue to make the same argument despite the fact that those tariff rates were not implemented. That's the point I'm making. And no one here is willing to acknowledge that fact.
Let me just play.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, they were going to say that Trump's policies were going to cause a recession, regardless of the rates, right? Again, if he would have came out with 10 to 15% from the beginning, they would have said, oh, this is going to cause a recession.
And like the left-wing media, they are rooting for Trump to fail. And it's like Trump failing, that means America failing. So what are you doing? Rooting for the country to fail? For other countries to win? Whatever happens to fairness? How about fairness to yourself, to America? All right, this is our country. What the hell? Like the ratings, maybe that's another thing. Shooting for ratings and people who want other countries to win, it's a little weird. Hopefully more and more people are waking up. And once the bosses of these media stations realize that they're losing viewers, maybe they'll start rooting for America. Because that's what it's all about. Ratings. Ratings equals money.
Again, the disingenuous person here is Abby Phillip, who's clearly embarrassed about being called out for being wrong.
Because I'm not an economist, but this guy is.
Yeah, we all know that you're not. Right. Thank you for acknowledging the obvious.
And the impact on the economy.
Higher tariffs have begun to show through more clearly to prices of some goods, but their overall effects on economic activity and inflation remain to be seen. Effective level of tariffs is not moving around that much at this point, but at the same time, there are many uncertainties left to resolve.
And honestly, the main uncertainty that he's talking about is that we just don't know what the deals are going to end up looking like. And we might know come Friday.
Yeah, we don't. So if we don't know what the deal is going to end up looking like, then why all these doomsday predictions, right? Why all these predictions if we don't know how things are going to end up? That's the whole point. The whole point, the reason why you're being called out is because you made all these predictions while at the same time not knowing what the outcome was going to be. Why make these predictions if you don't know what the outcome is going to be?
Yep.
Again, it's hilarious, right? They want to be excused for being wrong, right? They want to say, well, we don't know what the outcome is going to be, right? We didn't know that Trump wasn't actually going to implement these tariffs at those levels that were initially stated. Well, again, if you didn't know that, why make these crazy predictions? Why do it? Why don't you just say, hey, let's wait and see? Which is what smart people would have said, hey, let's wait and see, right? Let's wait and see what happens. But that's not what they did.
Come Friday, and then next month we'll assess the situation. But right now,
can I just say, the deals. Let's talk about the deals, right? So we've got the deal with the European Union, which somebody has already described as pie in the sky. They simply will not buy that amount of energy, and nor will they invest that amount of money. We have the deal with Japan, where nobody knows where the $650 billion worth of investment is going to come from. Nobody. The Japanese admit they don't know where it's going to come from. We've got the deal announced today with the South Koreans. What Donald Trump has brilliantly done, he wanted a headline number, and it's around 15%, but the underlying terms of trade deals are garbage.
So Richard, what deal would you have preferred?
How do you mean?
Well, what details of a deal would suffice for you?
Well, I would have liked them to have negotiated a proper long-term
What's proper?
deal.
Let's focus on the word proper.
Where the
What's
detail
proper
holds
to
up.
you?
Where the detail...
No, because you keep saying this, but you're giving no specificity whatsoever. I can sit here and name a whole bunch of random ridiculousness. That means absolutely nothing at all.
With respect, no, because they've actually announced a European deal where supposedly $600
So
billion...
give specifics about what you would like to see in an alternative. Wait a minute, Scott. Give an alternative and give specifics for what would be a deal that would satisfy your critique.
A long-term trade relationship deal that doesn't rely on a fictitious amount of investment.
Okay.
The Japan deal.
Okay, Richard.
No.
No, I'm listening.
The Japan deal envisages $650 billion worth of investment. But nobody says by whom or how or the penalty against. It is literally making it up.
Look,
because
let me let some of the other.
Yeah. So again, let me explain what's going on here. This guy is trying to have his cake and eat it too. He says, well, I don't like the fact that these deals, right, are just frameworks and not actual deals. I want to see long-term, detailed deals. Well, everybody knows it takes years to negotiate those type of deals, right? What you have here is an agreement on a framework, an overall goal of, hey, these are the top line terms, right? But those details are going to be worked out, right? We're promising to work out those details at a later date because it takes years, again, to work out these details, right? But we agreed to the overall terms. Now, this guy, if there was no announcement on trade deal frameworks, right? If there was no announcement on that, what would they be saying? Well, Trump doesn't have any trade deals. See, nobody wants to negotiate with Trump. They announce an agreement on frameworks, and then they say, well, I want to see actual real deals. I want to see real negotiated deals. So again, you know that it takes years for these deals to be hashed out. Why are you criticizing him for not having any deals, right? So again, it's damned if you do, damned if you don't with these people. If you say, hey, we have an agreement on a framework, oh, well, it's not a real deal. But if there are no announcements at all, then, oh, see, we told you. Trump couldn't make any trade deals, right? Even though they know it takes years to hash out the details. They know this, and they know that that is what these countries agreed upon. They agree.
And you know, Trump sees all these news networks. He takes a look at to see what they're saying. And thank God he doesn't try to make them happy. He doesn't go against what he knows works, what he knows makes his country better. And that's it. Let these news networks cry. Let them all complain and cry about what Trump is doing. Because what Trump is doing, I think works. But comment down below. Let me know what you think. Because we living in the Trump golden era. A lot of my friends hate saying that, but somebody got to say it. You know? With that said, make sure you hit that like button before you go anywhere.
Verbal or life.
All right, that's the first time I play that on the video in the middle of a session. But yeah, man, it's nice to see the liberal media complain about what Trump is doing. At the end of the day, I'm hoping that they lose ratings. So like that, we start to see networks talking positive about the country, talking great about the deals that we're making to make this country even better. And that's what we need to hear. That's what we need to see to get citizens in favor of all the great things that are happening in this country. The left-wing media are just trying to get everybody to hate Trump, hate the president, and hate the fact that we are winning. And when I say we, I'm talking about America is winning. So in podcasting and everywhere, we need to hear this more. All right? We need to hear more people just celebrating the victory that Trump is having. Let's all be honest. You know? Instead of fake media. And that's what we got to call it, fake media. But until the ratings fall, I think we're going to continue to hear this crap from all these people complaining about what Trump is doing. Instead of hearing how great the man is negotiating and winning over and over again, every single time. But I mean, if I'm wrong, comment down below. Let me know what you think. Do you agree with how Trump is handling it? Not presidential, but as a businessman, right? The art of the deal. People don't get it. People don't like it because it's politics. So you sort of have to speak, you know, calmly and gently and have everybody in mind as you speak. But the reality is, if you want deals done, you got to be tough. And I think we got the right man being tough and getting things done. But who am I? My name is Noel, here at Verbal on Life. bring you guys the real news with my co-host Odechi in the background. Hopefully we'll get her to come and join us with the next taping. Where'd she go? She's somewhere here in the background, and she will be joining us hopefully one day. But until then, you got me here. Bring you guys the news. Here, let me take a look at Trump's White House hearing. Take a look.
Nice to see you. How are you?
Fitness test.
We have a lot of athletic talent and great people behind me. And they're going to do some very important things for our country. Nobody knows LT, right? LT, greatest ever. Lawrence Taylor. You look good. You could play right now, I think, LT. You only look that way. Well, I'm delighted to be here with some of the truly great sports legends of all time as we formally announce the newest members of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition. This is an important step in our mission to make America healthy again. It's something that's...
Trump is everywhere, even American healthy again, talking about the young kids, the citizens, what we need to do. But real quick, before I move on, let me give a shout out to Castle, aka Sicario. Dímelo. How's it going, Montro? Yeah, yesterday I didn't get on. I had a lot of things going on here at the house. But yeah, later on today, I'm going to try to stream just was prime time in Hannity. So at 7:30, I'll think of doing that around 8 o'clock. But a big shout out. All right. So yes, God bless you too. Let's continue watching this. And thank you so much. And again, hit the video a like, hit a like on the video, and let's keep streaming. The trick is to never give up. Let's go.
Very important what we're doing, very important. Dating back to the administration of President Dwight D. Eisenhower, this council has championed the vigor and strength and vitality of the American people. Today, we continue that very proud tradition. This group is led by two-time major champion and one of the greatest players in the world, one of the highest ranked, and he just had a phenomenal Open Championship, as you probably saw, shooting one round that wasn't so good, and then he came back with about a 65 or something. He was getting a birdie on every hole. They were worried he might not make the cut, and he made the cut by about 200 strokes. It was pretty amazing, and he had a great week, actually, and he's also the longest hitter of a golf ball, I think ever, but, you know, they say ever. I would say ever, and the longest in the world today, and it's Bryson DeChambeau. He's a great guy, been my friend for a long time. And from his storied amateur career, where he won the U.S. Amateur, I think once or twice. Did you win it?
It was once in the NCAAs as well.
Okay, you won a lot of other championships, but U.S. Amateur champion. And then, as you know, he won at Wingfoot, won the U.S. Open and Pinehurst. And Bryson has always been a phenomenal ambassador to sports and to golf, but generally to life, in my opinion. He's a smart guy and a good guy, great guy, loves our country. We're also pleased to be joined by Secretary of Health and Human Services, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. Bobby, you do a great job. He's got some big things happening, and he's got some big statements to be made very shortly in terms of over the next few months in terms of what they've been doing and finding answers to some very, very important questions. Secretary of Education, Linda McMahon, who's phenomenal, wherever you may be, Linda. Hi, Linda. What are you doing back there? And look, you've been reading about her exploits and the job that she's been doing, and we're very proud of her. Council Executive Director, Catherine Granito. Thank you very much. Thank you. Great job. And several other new members of the council, including JD is here, our fantastic vice president, and Scott Bessent. And we're making a lot of deals. We're making deals for trillions and trillions. Nobody's ever seen anything quite like it. We just made a couple of others a little while ago. I don't know if you'd be interested right now. I won't even bother telling you. This is about sports and about health. One of the best defensive players ever. I think probably acknowledged to be the greatest defensive player in the history of the NFL. A friend of mine for a long time. Too long, right, Lawrence? Lawrence Taylor. He's an incredible guy, and just been my friend a long time. Haven't we? Knew him forever.
LT.
One of the most accurate kickers in NFL history. A young guy still. He can kick it long. I think he's. I guess he's considered the best there is in the business. Harrison Butker. So Harrison, where are you, Harrison? He's a handsome guy, by the way. It's usually not my thing, but he is a good-looking sucker. One of the truly greatest golfers ever to play on the LPGA Tour. A lot of people say the greatest female player ever, and a lot of people would say just one of the best players ever. She's phenomenal. I've played a lot of golf with Annika Sorenstam, and she's amazing. Just had an really storied career. Hall of Famer, easily a Hall of Famer, by the way, right at the top of the list. So it's great to have you with us, Annika, and say hello to the family. And then she was here not so long ago with Gary Player.
All right, man. Trump is amazing. He got some great athletes on there. He knows how to make it happen. All right, let me fast forward. It's 7:30. Let's finish up.
But you have a lot of smart people. So I'd like to begin by introducing Bryson to say a few words, and then we'll have Triple H, and we'll have a couple of other people say something, and then I'm going to sign that good-looking couple of pieces of paper, and it means a lot. It's going to be a very important council, and thank you all for being here. Bryson, please.
Thank you, everybody, for being here. And first off, I'd like to say thank you to President Trump and Vice President Vance for your support and this initiative and council. And to be honest, I never would have thought that this opportunity would have been here right at our doorstep. We have an opportunity at being the 70th anniversary of the President's Council on Sports, Fitness, and Nutrition to literally change the fabric of kids' lives. And our first initiative is to bring back and reignite the President's Fitness Test, and then also reestablish some key other metrics on guidelines around building some communities.
All right, let me pause it for a little bit. So I'm going to take a 20-minute rest because in 20 minutes, I want to try to stream the other Fox News networks. What's it called? Jesse Watts Prime Time. It's a great show, and I like to give my opinion on what he's talking about, and also maybe Hannity, just to reflect, give you guys my opinion on what they're talking about. Hopefully you enjoy it, and let me go see what's up. So let me take a small break, all right? I'll be back at 8 o'clock or 8:30, all right? If you enjoyed, thanks for joining me. See you guys in the next video. Peace. I got to come up with a better outro. Like, how do you end the video? Just asking the viewers to give the video a like, and definitely make sure to join me on the next one. Hopefully in 30 minutes.